Narcissists are never wrong. Let's face it, darlings. Narcissists are never wrong, and even when they are proven wrong, it doesn't matter. And it certainly doesn't mean that they are wrong about everything else. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Nut Free Formula. My name's Freedom. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk about this. How in the narcissist mind, they are never wrong. It's a weird phenomenon. Anyone who's been involved with a narcissist on a personal level will have noticed this particular trait. So, narcissists refuse to look at themselves. They refuse to look at their behaviour. They refuse to take accountability or just reflect on any of the things that they do, say, or the way things are playing out in the world. They go to great lengths to ensure that they never have to actually self-reflect. So the two kind of main tactics that they use, the narcissists will use, are, number one, they will literally shoot the messenger. Oh, hang on, not literally, figuratively, sorry. Figuratively shoot the messenger. And so what I mean by that is they will discredit whoever has told them the thing they don't want to hear. So, if it's someone, for example, has brought to their attention something about their behaviour. Now, a healthy, normal, non-disordered person would, consider their role and their behaviour and consider the fact that, a friend of mine or someone who knows me or whoever has come and said this to me, maybe I should think about it. But the narcissist will discredit that person. They will do it by saying, the person's just jealous of them. The person's just so jealous of them that they just want to be them so bad. They're just a hater. That's what it's all really about. Or they want to be with them, instead of, once again, just looking at their behavior. They will pretend that there's something wrong with the person who said it. All of a sudden now that person is a narcissist. The narcissist turns around and says, oh no, that person's the narcissist, because they're smearing me. They will say a lot of things, essentially all with the same, idea behind it. And that's to discredit the person who said it so that they don't have to consider it. It's a lot easier to turn that person into an enemy and to turn that person into a bad guy than to consider it. Because in the narcissist mind, you've got to remember they've got this black or white thinking. So in their mind, currently, they're all good. Everything about them's good. Oh yeah, they're so good all the time. Good. Yeah, everyone loves them. Oh, so good. And if they actually were to consider the fact that maybe they're not 100% all good and maybe the things that are being said about them are actually factually correct, then they would have to, like I said, look at their behavior. And then for a narcissist, this flipping occurs where, they start to feel really down on themselves. Everything looks a whole lot worse than it really is. It becomes all grey, essentially. And they start to, as I said, feel really empty, insignificant, null and void, like they don't exist and they don't matter. They just don't have these kind of the ways of regulating their emotions without us. So the second thing that they will do is rewrite the narrative with themselves as the victim. Right? So once again, instead of saying, okay, yeah, I do this because blah, 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 and talking about it and sorting it out, they would say, oh, but what about what you do? What about you? You've said this, you've done this, and, you do these things to me all the time, or blah, blah, blah. So you will never, ever be able to just communicate with a narcissist about any problems at all without it being flipped back on you, and as I said, them playing the victim. And narcissists love playing the victim. There's a lot of mileage in playing the victim. Once again, us non-disordered folks, we get over arguments pretty quickly. We get over dramas pretty quickly. But the narcissist can drag that stuff out for as long as possible, for as long as there's fuel to get, essentially. Because when you're playing the victim, you can get sympathy from other people. And sympathy from other people, especially when on some level, that you are actually doing the wrong thing. Getting sympathy from suckers, basically, that feels good. suckers who believe that you're the victim, suckers who believe that the other person's the perpetrator and that you're the victim. Like, to a narcissist, that fuel is some of the best fuel, because they're getting it over everyone. Essentially, they're getting it over you, they're getting it over the other people, and like I said, they're getting to rewrite the narrative. So you just have to remember that narcissists need other people to regulate their emotions and to help reassure themselves. So the more people the narcissist can get to say, oh no, poor you, you are the victim. Oh my God, what, you're being smeared? People are saying mean things about you. Oh, they're picking on you. Oh no, poor you. Right? The more people the narcissist can get to say those things, the more the narcissist starts to believe it, because this is how they do it. If they can get you to believe it and then you say it back to them, then they too can believe it, because they live in a little fantasy world. It is a fantasy world. It's based on their fantasies. Narcissists don't live in the real world with the rest of us. As I said, they live in a world where they think everything about them is so good and everyone's just so jealous, and people, anyone who says anything bad about them just wants to be them so badly, or it's just a hater. I mean, can you even imagine being that self-obsessed, going through life being that self-obsessed? Like, it's just a revolting kind of mindset, to be honest. It's so self-absorbed, so self-obsessed, typically narcissistic. And the irony of it all is they just don't see it. Everyone else can see it, but they don't see it. Narcissists do not see it. They're whinging and they're, victim party for one. No, other people see it for what it is. And then, but the narcissist, like I said, the narcissist is really good at creating alternative realities, about little stories and narratives they create in their head. Oh, for example, I've been watching something online that's quite fascinating. Apparently a certain channel that's being smeared, not even being smeared, a certain channel that got put out, exposed. I hate using that word because it just seems so, it's such a, I don't know, teenage thing to say, exposed, but a certain channel who got exposed for verbally abusing the viewers and berating them and bullying them and trying to force them to buy products that they didn't want. So when this channel kind of got exposed for that, instead of, like I said, just having a good look at themselves, they just started creating all these weird narratives. And the latest one is now that anyone who's involved in this, what they term smear campaign, it's actually just one person now. It's gone from being, all these people were haters of mine and people who were jealous and people who I blocked from my channel, and now it's all become one person. That story and that narrative is now changed again, and now it's all just one person apparently who just has nothing better to do, has no life, nothing better to do, and all they do is create fake channels and leave fake comments. I mean, the logic the logic behind that, the mental gymnastics behind that is just, it's baffling, it's astounding. But as I said, this is the la la land that narcissists live in. They're always making up stories, and they're so obsessed. They are obsessed. They're always thinking about this stuff, always talking about it. As I said, normal people, if someone says something bad about them, they roll with the punches, they move on. But no, the narcissist just keeps on bringing it back up. Oh, I'm being smeared. I'm the victim. Everyone's picking on me. Oh, now it's all one person and they're just picking on me. This stuff is really, really unhealthy. And this is why narcissists are so dangerous to be around, because, people who are around them and who fall for it essentially become, victims of themselves, because they're believing these false realities. They're essentially just believing lies. Although, to be honest, what I'm witnessing in this particular instance is quite fascinating, because it seems that no, there's actually not that much support, which is good to see, because with YouTube, it's kind of worrying sometimes when I see so many people in the comment sections of obviously toxic and narcissistic people, who have channels. So they are out there, people. Just be mindful is all I'm saying. Just be mindful, because a lot of us, when we're fresh out of our narcissistic relationships, we come into the world thinking that, oh yeah, I found the narcissistic abuse community, and there's all my peers around me, and this feels like a safe space. But in actual fact, where any group of victims are, you will find predators. And what's the best setup for a predator? The best setup would be to act like a victim, and to act like someone who's in a position of power and authority, who's going to help heal people. So there are narcissists running narc abuse channels. There's no doubt about that. And even if they're not narcissists, because obviously I'm not a psychiatrist and I can't diagnose anyone, and even if I could, I wouldn't do it over the internet, etc. But even if they're not termed narcissists, they are definitely toxic people who are using their communities, using the people that follow them. So just be mindful. As I said, your narcissist is not the only narcissist in the world, and unfortunately they have infiltrated our community. All right, lovelies, thanks for listening.